Hey guys, what's up? It's Darkmick here, and welcome back, finally, to episode 6 of Tank Legion. Now, I am so sorry this has taken so long to get out. I've just been really fucking busy in real life, and trying to manage multiple characters in Legion with so much to do. It kind of feels like you either focus on WoW and fall behind in YouTube, or focus on YouTube and fall behind in WoW. It's really hard to do both, unless you're single and live in your mum's basement, and unfortunately, I do not live in my mum's basement. I'm not sure if that's actually something that's unfortunate. Anyway, guys, episode 6, we're having a look at the Brewmaster Monk, the tank guide for that. It's going to be very beginner-based, I suppose, being that I've actually really moved away from the Brewmaster Monk since the changes into Legion. So I had to go and relearn the class. I've done a ton of research and reading and things like that, and hopefully I can give you the most consistent info today that will help you out if you are looking to pick up the Brewmaster Monk. So starting off, guys, what kind of a tank is the Brewmaster Monk? Well, it's basically a leather-wearing Ninja Warrior RNG dodge tank. They differ from the other tanks in World of Warcraft as they have the ability to stagger out incoming damage rather than taking it all in one hit. They're extremely mobile. They do, in my opinion, have a rather high skill cap to them. I think they're one of the much more complex tanks to play in-game, though don't let that deter you. There are a number of passive options you can take with talents and things like that, where you can enable yourself to sort of focus on picking up the class. But I certainly do think they're one of the harder tanks to play well. They undertook a major overhaul from WoD to Legion, so if you are coming back, a lot of things will be different. But they are still a really fun tank to play. They're just very different, and they can tend to be on the more spikier end of the damage scale. So breaking it down, guys, core abilities, same as always, offensive and defensive. Starting off with the offensive side of thing, we have Keg Smash. So you smash a keg on your target, dealing all damage to enemies within 8 yards. You reduce their movement speed by 50% for 15 seconds, and it reduces the cooldowns on your remaining brews by 4 seconds. So every time you use it, your brews are reduced by 4 seconds. Blackout Strike is your physical damage ability. Breath of Fire is in the rotation now, and we'll talk about that more as we go, but as it states, you breathe fire on people. Targets affected by Keg Smash will also burn for extra fire damage over 8 seconds. Tiger Palm reduces the remaining cooldown of your brews by 1 second. And our Artifact ability, which both has offensive and defensive capabilities to it, which is Exploding Keg. You hurl a flaming keg at a target location. It deals 900% of your attack power as fire damage, deals damage to all nearby enemies, and causes them to miss their next melee attacks over the next 3 seconds. So that's the offensive toolkit you're going to be playing with on the Brewmaster from a core perspective. Defensive wise, we've got Iron Skin Brew. So you've got two brews. You've got Iron Skin Brew and Purifying Brew. So Iron Skin Brew is your mitigation ability. It's your shield block, it's your death strike, that kind of thing. It's what you use for your boss specials. It increases the damage that you delay with stagger by an additional 40% for 6 seconds, and it shares its charges with Purifying Brew. Purifying Brew clears 50% of your damage delayed with stagger, and it shares its charges with Iron Skin Brew. So you have 3 charges from a set point. You can increase that via talents, but 3 charges which you spread out through Purifying and Iron Skin Brew. Fortifying Brew turns your skin to stone for 15 seconds. This is our big cooldown. This is our shield wall cooldown. Increases your current maximum health by 20%, increases the damage that you delay with stagger by an additional 20%, and reduces all damage you take by 20%. So it's a big cooldown. Spear Hand Strike is your interrupt. We still have Paralysis as a stun. Expel Harm has changed. Expel Harm now draws in all the healing spheres that we leave through Gift of the Ox. So we'll drop healing spheres on the ground. Rather than running over to collect them, we use Expel Harm now to draw them in. And it will deal damage to the nearest enemy for 10% of the amount that we heal. So that's the offensive and defensive abilities from a core nutshell perspective. I don't know where I'm going with that. I'm going to move on. So, what buttons do I push? Or what do you press? What's your rotation? What's your priority system? Priority system as such is Keg Smash on cooldown, Blackout Strike on cooldown. You want to be using Breath of Fire on cooldown as well, and you want to try and make sure the targets are affected with Keg Smash before doing it for that extra ticking fire damage. And you want to be using Tiger Palm to avoid energy capping. Usually 65 energy plus, you want to be using Tiger Palm. A rotation as such, from a basic point of view, if you're taking like Elusive Dance or High Tolerance, will be something like Keg Smash, Blackout Strike, Breath of Fire, Rushing Jade Wind if you were talented, Tiger Palm, Blackout Strike, Tiger Palm, Keg Smash, and you would just keep rinse repeating through that rotation. The real things of importance, as I mentioned, and from a beginner perspective, is just to make sure you're trying to hit your Keg Smash off cooldown, your Blackout Strike off cooldown, and avoid energy capping with Tiger Palm. They're sort of the three real staples that you could try and center yourself around if you were struggling, really struggling picking up the class. If you decide to take Blackout Combo, and we will get to this when we get to talents, but while I'm talking about rotations, Blackout Combo will change your rotation. So if you take Blackout Combo, you'll be opening with Blackout Strike every time, and you want to try and follow that up generally with a Keg Smash as your number one priority with that. What that does is it ensures that you are maximizing the number of charges of brew that you are going to gain through that encounter. Blackout Combo buffs a number of abilities, and we will talk about that when we get to talents. But a rotation, if you're taking Blackout Combo, will be something like Blackout Strike, Keg Smash, Breath of Fire, Blackout Strike, Tiger Palm, Rushing Jade Wind, Blackout Strike, Tiger Palm, Keg Smash. It would be something like that. And this obviously changes as well if you are taking large amounts of damage and things like that. Keg Smash generally on a longer cooldown, but it's reduced by haste. So while Blackout Strike's on a 3-second cooldown and not reduced by haste, so you'll always get 2 buffs of Blackout Strike through your rotation. So the first one you're going to use is Keg Smash. So Blackout Strike, Keg Smash, and as we said, that's reducing the increasing the amount of charges of brews that you're going to have to use through the fight. The second one, if you are taking damage, if you're tanking, generally you want to use your second Blackout Combo buff on an Iron Skin Brew or a Purifying Brew. If you are not taking damage, if you are overgearing things, if you are flying through it, you want to use that second buff on Breath of Fire. So it gives Breath of Fire a shorter cooldown, larger AoE damage. Tiger Palm will give you a larger single damage increase, so if you were tanking a single mob, you'd be using that second charge on a Tiger Palm. But Breath of Fire also links into the minor trait Hot Blooded. So obviously the more use of Breath of Fire, the more use we're getting out of that damage reduction from Hot Blooded as well. AoE guys wise, it is pretty much the same, but we're going to use Exploding Keg Smash, which is a really powerful AoE ability with its defensive perks as well. Keg Smash, Chi Burst, if you decide to take that as a talent, is a great AoE ability, and Threat Grabber as well, and Breath of Fire. So all our AoE abilities pretty much come in the top of the priority list. So things like Chi Burst, Exploding Keg Smash, Breath of Fire and Rushing Jade Wind all take place, and then you just follow with your rotation afterwards. But I will talk about a really good a week or a string for beginners, which will really walk you through your talent as well. Your rotation. I can fucking speak. So talents wise, guys, level 15 Chi Burst is the best choice for AoE damage and healing. Eye of the Tiger is the best choice for single target DPS and self-healing, and it's also a passive, so it's a button that you don't have to worry about pressing. So I would recommend from a beginner perspective, Eye of the Tiger. Level 30, Tiger's Lust is a fantastic choice, frees you from roots and snares. It's not linked up to roll, so I really like Tiger's Lust. Celerity is a really solid movement and mobility booster as well. Gives you the extra charge of roll, and is also a solid pick, so pick what you like. Level 45, Light Brewing is the sort of the passive flavor pick here. It's a really solid passive. It's a great pick for beginners. It reduces the cooldowns of your brews by 3 seconds, and it also provides you with a 4th charge. So now you've got 4 charges to split your Iron Skin brews and your Purifying brews over. Black Ox Brew is the best choice on this tier, but it takes a higher skill cap to play with, I think. It provides you with more uses of Keg Smash and Tiger Palm due to the extra energy that you've got. Keg Smash and Tiger Palm reduce the remaining cooldowns of your brews by 4 and 1 second, remember. Black Ox Brew is also classed as a brew, so that is reduced as well. It refills your energy to 100. It also, on use, will refill all your charges. So if you do take Black Ox Brew, you want to be using it once you've exhausted all your charges of your brews. So general rule would be something like 2 Iron Skin brews and 1 Purifying brew. Someone's ringing me, go away. Gift of the Mist is also a really solid choice, and I still really like it. It's a better choice, I suppose, for self-sustained healing via the Gift of the Ox healing spheres that we spawn. It's great on things like heavy magic damage fights and big bleed fights, and and I still really like it, but light brewing seems to be sort of the number one pick. When I was on beta, Gift of the Mist was all the rage. It now very much seems like light brewing is the way to go as just a really solid passive in comparison. Level 60 guys, leg sweep, 45-second cooldown, 5 seconds stun. 100% my pick on that row. Level 75, healing elixirs. Solid amount of healing. Triggers can trigger Celestial Fortune as well, so if you're not aware what Celestial Fortune is, you have a chance equal to your critical strike chance to be healed for an additional 65% of the amount you've healed. So healing elixirs, it's a solid passive. Celestial Fortune can work with it. It'll proc all by itself if you hit 35% HP or lower. It's the number one pick, hands down. Diffuse Magic is amazing as well if you are in heavy magic damage encounters, but anything else, healing elixirs is the go. Level 90, Rushing Jade Wind. Beginners, Mythic Pluses, Dungeon Application, things like that. Rushing Jade Wind is hands down my number one pick. It's consistent AoE damage and single target damage as well. It's super easy for picking up AoE packs, stray mobs and things like that, and you're able to get a really high uptime on the ability. Special Delivery is the other choice. So when you use either Iron Skin Brew or Purifying Brew, you have a 30% chance to throw a keg into the air. Landing on nearby enemies, it deals high damage and slows the target. So Special Delivery, it's another really solid passive to pick out. When I did a lot of reading, Special Delivery from the start won't provide you with the same amount of DPS that Rushing Jade Wind does. However, as you gain more haste, around 25 to 27% haste, it appears that Special Delivery will actually overtake Rushing Jade Wind. So when you hit that haste mark, you're better off to be swapping to Special Delivery. Level 100, Blackout Combo. Blackout Combo is the best choice on the row. It also requires the most brainwaves. So it changes your rotation as we spoke about in the rotation section. So what does Blackout Combo do? Well, it buffs a number of abilities. So when you use your Blackout Strike, you can buff Tiger Palm to increase damage by 200%. You can buff Breath of Fire to reduce its cooldown on the next Breath of Fire to 9 seconds rather than 15. Keg Smash now reduces the remaining cooldown of brews by 6 seconds instead of 4. Iron Skin Brew pauses damage taken by stagger by 3 seconds. Purifying Brew provides a stack of our Mastery Elusive Brawler. So as I said, if you do end up taking Blackout Combo, you really want to be prioritizing Keg Smash as a buff of it and Breath of Fire. If you are taking damage, make sure you're prioritizing your Iron Skin Brew and your Purifying Brew with them. High Tolerance is another pick. Again, a really solid passive. Stagger delays an additional 10% of incoming damage, and you gain up to 15% haste of your current level of based on your current level of stagger. So again, fantastic passive. Great for learning. If you're taking truckloads of damage, you're going to get that haste buff all the time from your high level of stagger. It's a really solid choice. Elusive Dance is also not a horrible option. It basically rewards you for purifying at higher stagger. So if you are taking a hell of a lot of damage and finding yourself having to purify at high stagger a lot of times, you're going to get a lot out of this talent. It's great for an overall damage reduction talent. However, it's not as good for the spike damage reduction, but it's certainly not a bad pick. If you overgear content, you could take it for the damage buff, but if I was saying you overgear things and you know what you're doing, I'd be going with Blackout Combo instead of Elusive Dance anyway. So that's it for the talents, guys. So on to the stats now. Now, stats, I found a number of different things. This is the most consistent and most agreed upon sort of stat priority that I've found, and it is Haste Mastery, pretty much. So straight off Wowhead, which I'm going to put a formula up on the screen, basically they're saying haste to 30%, mastery to your nearest hit breakpoint, and there's a formula on the screen and a link in the description. You can go and read about this and work out your mastery breakpoint on the formula that's on the screen. Then versatility, then mastery above breakpoint, and then critical strike. So what does haste do? Haste increases our energy regen and our auto attack speed. It also reduces the cooldown on a number of our abilities like Keg Smash, Rushing Jade Wind, Iron Skin Brew, and Purifying Brew. So it obviously has damage and survival gains to it. Mastery affects Mastery Elusive Brawler. So Mastery Elusive Brawler pretty much grants us a stacking dodge chance. So we continue to get a stacking dodge chance until we dodge an attack and then it restarts again. Mastery also increases our attack power, so there's the bonus from that as well. Critical striking chance is your chance to critically hit with all spells and abilities. It ties in with Celestial Fortune as well. So what I would say is, just from a beginner basic, just go haste mastery. Sorry, haste is always king. I've seen a number of people running haste crit builds as well, but I would just go haste mastery from a standpoint to start off, hands down. So onto the artifact, guys. Now the artifact again is one of the bigger artifacts. There's 8 pathways on this artifact rather than some of the simple ones like the Prot Warriors and the Blood Death Knights. So the 3 major traits that you're going to find on your Brewmaster artifact: Dragonfire Brew. So after using Breath of Fire, you breathe fire for 2 additional times and you deal fire damage, obviously. Brew Stash, activating Purifying Brew or Iron Skin Brew, grants you 10% dodge for 1.5 seconds. And Fortification, activating Fortifying Brew, grants you 25% dodge for 21 seconds. So there are 3 majors. So starting off, guys, you are always going to be starting at Exploding Keg, obviously, and putting your first point into Full Keg. So there's 8 pathways. So the first pathway that we're going to go is we're going to come down and we're going to get Obstinate Determination is the first one we're going to. So that is our first path. It is going to look like that. The second pathway that we're going down is coming back to Hot Blooded. We're going to come down to Dark Side of the Moon, and we're going to pick up our first major trait, which is Fortification. So that is the second pathway. The third pathway is going back to Hot Blooded, coming down to Fists, but we're going to pick up the 3 in Overflow, but we're not going to get the second major. So that is the third path. The fourth path, guys, is coming up and picking up Healthy Appetite to increase your maximum HP. The fifth path is coming back now to Overflow to pick up Brew Stash. The sixth path is coming back to Full Keg, and we're going to pick up Gifted Student. Number 7 is coming down to Swift as a Coursing River. And the 8th path, of course, is picking up our third and final major trait, Dragonfire Brew. So that is the optimal pathway to take on the Brewmaster artifact. Now, there are, of course, 3 relic slots, as there are on every single artifact. Brewmasters have got Life, Storm, and Iron. The best relics, always take the highest item level relic you can get your hands on, regardless of its trait buff. Once you hit your content ceiling and you're not getting any higher item levels, this is when you start to be picky. So Brewmaster's Hot Blooded and Overflow are the 2 strongest artifact trait boosts that you can get. If you are unable to get them, things like Dark Side of the Moon, Potent Kick, and Healthy Appetite are also strong choices, but really aim for Hot Blooded and Overflow. So that's it, guys. The weak aura that I was going to talk about as well, which I really should have spoke about in rotations, is Red Fellas. It is, of course, been on the screen the whole time. It is also in the description, and it is fantastic. It was great for me getting back into the Brewmaster and figuring out what the fuck I was doing to try and be able to tell you what the fuck to do. And his weak auras is absolutely fantastic. Guides you through the rotation. It updates for Blackout combo, or if you are not using Blackout combo. So highly recommend getting that one, and full props to our Red Fella. So that's it, guys. Any questions, do hit me up. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much for checking out the video, and I'll see you all next time. See you guys.